Welcome everyone to the Tera Awards for the Top 20 Conscious Entrepreneurs. My name is Dr. Tera Maxell and I'm your host for this summit. And my vision is to recognize the top 20 conscious entrepreneurs and really to start a conversation about not only what it means to be a conscious entrepreneur, but also how to be a successful, like from the place of the heart, alignment with purpose. Hi, Michelle. We're so glad you're here today.
Hi, Tara. Thank you. Nice to be here.
I just want to tell a little bit about Michelle. We have, I don't know, just that feeling when you meet someone that you're just like, we're supposed to cross paths and learn from each other. So it's neat to be able to interview you.
It is so fun to be here, and I feel the same way. I know when we first connected, I just said, oh, we're supposed to meet in person, and this is great having a video because now I can see you and get more of a sense for your energy. So I'm honored. Thank you.
So, one of the theme for this summit is from turning point to tipping point. And I thought perhaps you could first just share a little bit about your story and your turning point in your journey as a conscious entrepreneur.
Okay. So I gave a lot of meditative thought to this and time and energy, yes, because there's been so many. And the one piece that really allowed me to catapult and break free from old patterns, and that's what I feel like you're really wanting, was the time that I really moved from corporate and I moved into my business. I'm going to kind of shorten it a little bit, but I had always heard that when you jump, the net will appear. And so I trusted that. I had been listening to a lot of telesummits, and I really thought that would be the case. And so I set myself up as an S-Corp, and I prepared as best as I could, and really thought that the money would keep flowing in. And what happened was I jumped, and I took the leap. Literally, we had sold our house in the Midwest. We moved out to the mountains. I formed my corporation. And as I jumped, the net appeared, but it was on the sidewalk. And I flat on my face, and it was painful, and it was at least 5 years of struggle, horrible struggle. Talk about all your stuff coming up and surfacing, and it literally from there just escalated. Where the new home that we had bought, we had to sell because we could no longer afford it. A lot of our material things we had to sell and get rid of. We had a dog and a cat that we had forever and ever, and they both died within 2 weeks of each other. Just everything, like life just hit rock bottom, and I call it my dark night of the soul, because at that point, every single thing that you work toward and you really wonder, this was my purpose, my vocation, my mission, my soul calling, all of that, and you look at your marriage and you look at your relationships and you look at what you're left with, and it got so bad, Tara. A year and a half ago, my husband and I moved in with my mother-in-law because we had nowhere else to go. So that, talk about tipping point to turning point. And what happened is I got really, really serious about what it was that I wanted, and I got very clear. I hadn't been clear before. I had hoped that I was going to be guided and shown the way one step at a time. And I'm realizing now very strongly, because I've been doing it for the last 18 months and it's been very successful and it's been really, really working, that purpose of clarity, that purpose of getting very, very clear about what it is that you want and what it is you desire. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was this idea of self-worth. Because I feel like people that are going to be watching this video in particular are going to have this concept of self-worth. So I'm not sure about yourself, but when I was raised and I was kind of going through the religious channels and listening to mentors, one of the things we had to say every single week, if not more than that, was, I'm not worthy to receive you, but only say the word and I shall be healed. And that is in a lot of scriptures and a lot of religions. And as I said those words, I really believed that I was not worthy, that I was not worthy to receive good things. I was not worthy to make a lot of money, especially when it came to doing what I love. And I got really, really clear when I hit rock bottom about what that means. What does that really mean? What does word mean? Well, word is, it's really the manifestation and the opening yourself to God, to Source.
Worth or word?
The word, W-O-R-D. So only
yes.
say the word, right? Only say the word and I shall be healed. Open yourself to God. Open yourself to Source. Get very clear about what it is you want. And I shall be healed. I shall move myself into a place of centeredness. I shall move myself back into flow. Flow, as you know, is money. It's monetary. It's currency. And so when you see yourself as worthy to receive, it's really more about, and it's all in Scripture, it's, only say the word. Align yourself with Source. Get very clear, and you'll start receiving. And so, oh, wow, I love words. And so it was just this big, huge aha. Oh, wow, okay. So I really can co-create my own reality. That's what that means. And as soon as I started doing that and I started aligning myself and I started looking at my past and what had happened, I started understanding why it was necessary for me to hit rock bottom. So I heard a couple of your other guests talk about the Law of Polarity. And the Law of Polarity is really, really an interesting universal law because if you look at anything in terms of nature, which is our physical, tangible self, in terms of our thoughts and where mind chatter comes into play, we have, everything comes from Source, but we are taking something that comes from the same nature and we're looking at it to different degrees, different extremes in terms of manifestation of energy. So I know that you've shared with viewers the fact that in your past you've been a stripper, right? So as an example, you kind of took the pathway of, I'm going to make a lot of money, right? And then I'm going to align myself with a lot of money, but then I may not necessarily feel like I'm in a place or a position where I am putting myself out there in the way that I want. Right. I did the opposite. I put myself out there in a way that I really, really wanted, but for my first 5 years, I didn't make anything. I didn't even pay myself. I was barely even head above water. And so those two things are similar in terms of energy. They're different degrees, right? And what both of us had to learn to do was to meet ourselves in the center, to find that word, to find that centrifugal force, that centering, that those two opposite extremes pulled us in. So what happens is, with the Law of Polarity, you go from one extreme to another. So I went from the extreme of corporate world, making a lot of money, really feeling good, to flat on my face, right, in order to find my center. For you, the way that you described it is, you went from the world of stripping to, I went out on my own and I barely made any money, to, oh, yeah, here's my center. So when people are stuck, what they don't understand is they're stuck in that centeredness of two polarities. And the way to get out of it, so when you're in a comfort zone or when you're stuck, you're really in the same type of physics. You're in the same type of energy. It's very similar. Two opposing forces are keeping you there. So Newton's law, for every force there's an equal and opposite force, right? So what's happening is, if you are stuck, if you're spinning or you're in a place that you don't want to be, aka poverty, in order for you to move out of that, it's very important for you to change the degree, to change your frequency. So that's why everyone that's in the spiritual teaching field says it in a different way. It's about raising consciousness. It's about upping your frequency. It's about shifting your position. That's what it is when it comes to science and when it comes to the Law of Polarity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but tell me a little bit about this path, though. For the 5 years, because you were conscious.
Yes.
You were seeking to live your purpose and do what you really love, and you made this leap.
Yes.
And so, and I'm sure because I know you're also an energy worker, like raising your vibration. So could you explain a little bit more, like, how did, what's the question here? I guess I'm asking this for those in the audience that, you know, they're doing what they love and are in that situation, but I'm not making a living.
Yeah. So the best way to describe it is this law of polarity again. It's not a one-time event. It's not a, you know, I'm going to go from the corporate world to out on my own and then I'm going to find my center. It's happening. We're with the universe and with the ebbs and the tides and the flows of energy at all times.
Right.
And so when it comes to this particular universal law, this law of polarity, as well as the law of attraction, as well as the law of measurement and balance and everything else that's out there, when you're in this particular law of polarity, Tera, what happens is everything that there's so many variables, okay, but I'm going to try to simplify it as much as I can, keeping it to self-worth. So I did not believe that I was worthy to receive. That comes with a lot of stuff, right? It comes with a lot of history. So in my particular history and in my particular background, I really had poverty consciousness, and I was vibrating at a place of poverty consciousness. And whenever I would not accept what was happening, whenever I resisted it, and oh my gosh, really, we have to move in with my mother-in-law? Whenever I resisted that energy, oh, this is my worst. I can't believe this is happening, you know. I worked so hard. I went to college. We just had a house. It was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. We just had all these vehicles, and all of it was sold now. What's happened? That resistance moves me back into my comfort zone. It moves me back into the place that I was most comfortable, and that is the poverty consciousness. It's in the field of hypnotherapy and the field of thought patterning or energy, and I know you've heard this before, it's those neuron pathways, is that triggering and that firing of energies in terms of where you get comfortable. And
Right.
so whenever you resist, and that's why self-acceptance and self-awareness is so important, when you find yourself resisting and in that place of struggle, then what happens is you usually will find that place where the universe will spit you back to that comfort zone of what you knew and what you most were comfortable with. So every single time I kept moving myself a little further along into abundance, into prosperity, but as soon as I started to resist anything that felt threatening or not comfortable, I'd get spit right back to poverty consciousness. So it was an interesting uphill shift for me as I was watching. You know, it was like, and now I'm back here, and now I'm back here, and now I'm back here again. And eventually what happens is you get strong enough energetically that it holds. So perseverance and that trust factor is absolutely huge. So for me, it was getting myself energetically into a place where I recognized and knew that the money and the prosperity and the abundance was my birthright, that it was going to come in every single day, just like I can get up and I know for certain that the sun is there. Some days it may not look like the sun is there. The clouds are obscuring, but the sun is there, and every day the sun shines. And every single day I trust that the sun is there. It's that same energy, it's that same certainty. When you can get yourself into that place vibrationally where there's absolutely no question, and even when it's not coming in, where it seemingly is not there, all it is like a cloud obscuring the sun. When you can hold yourself in that frequency and that vibration, that strong trust and that strong knowingness, that's when everything changes. That's when monetarily and entrepreneur-wise, in terms of your positioning, you can really hold it and be firm. So does that help?
Yeah, I mean, I love that you're sharing this, because I think the other piece is that if you're in that place of struggle, then when you shift your patterning of your thoughts about it, that, oh, look, I'm getting this test again.
Yes.
And where's the opportunity? Where's the opportunity? Where's the opportunity?
Yeah.
And even if you're maybe not fully in that vibration, it's because you're getting the practice, right?
You are. You're getting the practice, and it is part of the universal law. It's part of physics. It's when you move yourself toward anything new or anything that feels better, that feels good, that feels, as soon as you move yourself in that opposite pull, because of physics, because of universal law, will come in. And that's the thing that I was not able to recognize. And as soon as I recognized it, oh, okay, that's when I can send blessings. That's when I can say thank you to even the seemingly bad. That's when I was able to recognize that everything truly is happening for greatest and highest good, even if seemingly it seems like it's
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's like if you have thousands in your bank account and you're like feeling abundant, but can you still stay on that vibration when you don't?
Yes, absolutely. You got it. And it's interesting because I've been watching some of the videos, and everybody is kind of saying the same thing, right? But in a different way. And for me, I wanted to bring to the video, I wanted to bring that it can be hard, seemingly, and it can feel like a struggle. And I want people to know that it's normal. It's not anything that you're doing wrong. It's normal especially if you came from a background and a history where all you ever knew was poverty. My parents, when they got together, they were 16 and 17 years old. It was constant struggle, constant poverty, constant, how are we going to make the next, it wasn't even living paycheck to paycheck. It was living like 4 paychecks ago and wondering how we're going to get a new line of credit just to pay the bills. So I'm really, really pleased about where it is that I've come. And that's so important, is that you recognize how far you've actually come vibrationally, how much you've actually shifted. And then when you feel yourself moving back into that comfort zone, into that position, into that familiar vibration, recognize that because you've already paved the pathway to move yourself into that new energy, it's going to be so much quicker. It's like, if you remember the pinball machines, it's going to be that fast. Whoo! Oh, wow, okay. And then, yes, all of a sudden you might get tremendous, like a huge amount of money that starts to come in, and then recognize that that might not be normalcy. It might just be you trying to figure out where your center is. But once you're in it, you're going to be able to hold it. It's going to be magical, because that's how the universe works. That's how energy works. So recognizing and holding that and trusting it, as I said, just like trusting that the sun comes out every day, that is the most important piece. That's the most important tip that I can offer. That was indeed my turning point.
No, that's beautiful. When you talk about that center, then, would you say for you, that you have it, but then there still are times when you kind of get off track, and then
Well, for me, it's because I'm not yet comfortable with where I'm at, right? Yeah. I have goals, and some people honestly, they're the type of people that they really like to be in a certain place, and they like to have that knowingness of their paycheck being the same. For me, I really like the idea of increase and giving myself bonuses and raises and being able to take my team out and go on trips, and all that is so important to me. And so because I continuously am raising my vibration, I am getting this. I continue to get this. For someone that's comfortable with where they are, and they are holding and maintaining their frequency, it's not going to be such a bumpy ride as what I know mine is, but it's because I really understand that money is currency and money is flow, and currency and flow has ebbs and it has tides. So as I'm in it, I'm enjoying the experience. I'm enjoying the ride. So.
I appreciate your candor about that, because sometimes I think you can look at other we're not supposed to be looking and comparing.
Right.
But
we're human, Tara.
It's part of our nature. And you're like, oh, it's just easy. And I know for me, like, even when I've set a goal for the year, and I know I can do it, like, it's X, Y, and Z type of actions, but it's still scary. Then you have to, like, raise my vibration, clear that feeling of worthiness, just like we talked. And so I think it's helpful for our audience to know that it's just it's not like it's just handed.
No.
To you, or this, and some people, maybe they do have an easier time. I do have, I have clients, and I've talked to some people that that was their gift, to have that abundance mindset.
And I definitely agree with you. And whenever I take someone into hypnosis or hypnotherapy and I'm working with them, it's because their soul purpose, their soul path is ease. their whole entire, they're at that place where they are vibrating at that level. For me, not the case, and I know that about myself. I came into a very, very dramatic, turbulent household and family. Not only were parents young and we were in poverty consciousness, but dad was an alcoholic. Life was really, really a struggle. It was many bumps and many ups and downs. So the fact that I am in calmer waters, I'm blessed. I feel so happy every single day to not be in that place of drama and chaos, to know that I've shifted my vibration all those degrees. Now when something small happens, those little bumps, right, or I might not quite meet my goal this month, I know that it's going to shift and I'll meet it next month. I might not have gotten my end of year exactly the way that I wanted, but I trust and I know that it's going to happen. And it's just, again, trusting and knowing, just like the sun comes out every day. And no doubt in your mind, it's there. Just happened to be a cloud last month. It was a rainy month. Oh, well, life happens.
Well, I love it. You started with that scripture, like, I'm not worthy to receive, but only say the word and I shall be healed. And it actually struck me that it's like an energy statement.
Yeah.
That that you're actually doing a clearing, because that first part isn't really true. It's a block that you can clear, but maybe that's a little bit esoteric.
Yeah, no, I definitely am with you, and it's the perception of what it means.
Yes.
And I love the fact that we can always go back to certainty and go back to what it is we know in terms of if we're ever in doubt, right? And so that's why I love the dictionary. Love words, because words have vibration and words have certain frequency. And so I actually printed off a couple words that I wanted to share, if you don't mind, because I really feel like it's going to be powerful for some people. So that I am not worthy to receive you. Only say the word, I shall be healed, as an example. So word, by definition, the expressed or manifested mind and will of God. Word. Healed, restored and whole again. So now when you say that, only say the word, I am of God. I am co-creating. I am source. I am that energy. I am in that place of trust and know that the sun is going to shine and that I am abundance and that it's there every single day flowing into my life. And because of that, I am restored and I'm whole and I'm healed. So it's that knowingness, it's that vibration. It's every single day recognizing that's, to me, your true self-worth.
That is beautiful. And I can actually feel that vibration, that energy shift, just even as you shared that. So I hope others also can feel that. So could you, I know you talked a little bit about that imbalance. And when we were conversing before, you said that it can be good. Could you kind of share with us a little more about that?
Well, it kind of goes back to what I was sharing in the fact that had I not been in a position or in a place where I'm just going to use myself as an example because it's going to be so easy to describe it. So had I not been in a place of complete devastation and loss, having to really surrender and give up everything and go through that dark night of the soul, I would not have been vibrationally in a place where I could then go to the opposite extreme. Remember, we're all of the same source, we're all of the same nature. In order for us to move to center, we must have the polarity, the law of polarity, the law of extreme. So if you talk to a lot of millionaires, they made a lot of money, a lot of millions of dollars, and then they went bankrupt. And then they made a lot of millions, and then they went bankrupt, and then finally they evened out. That's the law of polarity. So why I say that it's good when you're in a state of imbalance is because you're moving into a new frequency. You're moving into a new vibration. So a lot of times we need to go backward before we go forward, and that's why, is because the law of polarity is giving us the bottom end first, or the seemingly bad first, in order for us to feel and to find the center of goodness, to find the seemingly better. So Does that help?
But what about the people that just seem to have one struggle after another? Because it seems like then, and maybe this fits with what we're talking about here as conscious entrepreneurs, that you have to use or be able to master the law of polarity through being conscious.
Yes, you got it. That's it. That's it. And that's why I continue to struggle for over 5 years. I continue to not be able to pay myself. I continue to be in that vibration of poverty consciousness, is because I was not aware of what I'm sharing. And that's why I'm sharing this, is it's really getting it and really allowing it to sink into every single cell, really understanding that in order for you to shift, in order for you to move and adjust your frequency to go into that which you desire, it's really important that you recognize that you are the co-creator of your reality. And consciously, once you become aware of your position and you're able to bless everything seemingly bad, and you start to see things shift. I mean, how many people started following the law of attraction and their marriage fell apart? I can name a lot of people, right? Where all of a sudden they shift to position and then seemingly everything got worse. Well, it's because in order for you to raise your frequency, to move to another place, the law of polarity takes over and it trumps anything else. And until I actually understood that you can't get to here without first, right? And then it balances out. That's how it is vibrationally. And so for someone let's go back to the person that's not moving, they're stuck. They are in that centrifugal force of seemingly good and bad. They're already in that centered, stuck place. They might even be spinning because they're trying to move and then it's not working, and then they spin back to where they once were. That's where I was for 5 years.
Yeah.
You have to become conscious of what's going on. You have to become conscious of the vibration that's holding you stuck in that place. For me, it was self-worth. It was really not believing that I was worthy to receive. Really not believing that it was okay for me to be clear and to ask and it is given. I did not believe that I was that powerful or could be that powerful. And so it was opening myself to that and self-trust. And once I did, it was moving. Now, every single person's hair is different, as you know, right? Every single person has something different that they want to work on, or where it is that they're being pulled down. And once you get into a place of self-awareness and you start to recognize your position and where it is that you are, that's when you can shift. That's when you can recognize that you are the co-creator and amazing things can happen.
That is so inspirational, and I'm sure there are those in the audience right now that are listening to this, and it is so helpful to be able to shift that perspective. I know when things have gotten really dicey in my life or in my business, a big shift for me has been to actually say, oh my gosh, things are going to get really, really good. It's like, because you know that you're in the middle of the storm, and so instead of saying, oh my gosh, it's really bad, things are going to get really, really good because I'm, you know.
Yes, and that's beautiful. You're describing exactly what it takes, because the moment that you say, oh my gosh, stop, I don't want this anymore, you go back to your old way of being.
I shouldn't do this, but yeah, so now I actually get excited, even though it looks very chaotic for a second.
That's where, you know, they say gratitude.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know we just have a little bit more. You were talking about also about entrepreneurs and positioning. Is that the same?
Well, again, it kind of goes back to the words, right? So I have another definition for you.
Okay.
So entrepreneur, I have it kind of up here. So because I look at it, entrepreneur is defined as one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business or an enterprise. So I want to talk about the risks. The risk is being willing to move your position. In order for you to be an entrepreneur and to go out on your own, you have to assume the risks. So, was I a little crazy? Was I willing to totally risk everything? Yes. Am I a much bigger risk taker than most people? Absolutely. Do I already know that about myself? Yes. Okay. Not everybody needs to take those huge risks. That's why some people, they start out their business and they have kind of what they love on the side, and then they wait slowly until they get enough money, and then they sort of just make the shift. For me, it was, let's just quit, give a 2-week notice, jump in without any clients, without without any guarantee. And it was, you know, it was a long path. I would not recommend it. But I've learned so much in the process, and I know that my being able to take that path now helps me to relate to so many more people. So I feel very blessed having that experience. But with entrepreneurship and with you changing and shifting your position, it's recognizing that there is going to be some risk involved, and that you have to be willing, again, entrepreneur, one who organizes, one who manages, and one who assumes the risks of a business or an enterprise. So you have to be willing to shift your position. You have to be willing to take a risk in order for there to be reward.
Yeah, I can see that, and especially as, I mean, for any entrepreneur, but especially as a conscious entrepreneur.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you. You've shared so much with us today, just about, I mean, what I really took away was about that, being able to use the law of polarity, and if you are having struggles, if you are staying conscious and reflective, that you can use those experiences to find center, and hopefully sooner. You
got it.
We don't always have to take 5 years, you know, because you're sharing this message, and if you're aware, it doesn't have to be such a long struggle.
Right. And so I like to give visuals, and so one last thing is, Tera, let's just say that you and I are opposite opposing energies, okay? Mm-hmm. And we have palm to palm right now, and we are giving equal force, okay? Mm-hmm. Just put your palms up if you would. Okay. Okay? So, all right, so we're doing that. Palm to palm, equal, opposite, opposing forces. So someone who's stuck, okay, they're stuck in 2 opposing forces of energy. Now, if something happens, now let's say that I'm the seemingly shift and the seemingly bad, but I'm going to get you to where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So now I give you a little bit more force. The first thing that you're going to do as a person outside of you, right, because you're in the middle of it, is you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is bad. And you might you might like think this is bad. And so then you might do everything that you can to get yourself back to where you were before, back to that place of balance and center. And then when you're in that place of balance and center, you just stay where you were, and nothing moves. Oh, I started to move, but then something happened, and I got pushed right back into that old, you did it yourself. Yeah. So that's why your description of, as soon as you feel that push and it's seemingly bad, celebrate. Awesome. Celebrate. That's why I'm saying being in a place of imbalance can be good. Celebrate, because you're shifting and you're moving, because something's now giving, and you're going to be able to move and catapult into a whole new place. Does that help?
Yes, it does. And, you know, this actually 2 nights ago, I was visiting my brother. This is a little random. He taught me how to flow ride, which is like this thing where the water kind of shoots up, and you're kind of, it's sort of like surfing.
Okay.
Indoors.
Okay.
And you're on this board and trying to balance, and I really kind of got jacked up, because a couple times when I fell, I mean, it was pretty bad. Like, I got a concussion. But my brother said, you know, because you're fighting when you fall, and when you fall, the force of the water just like pushed you up, and it really can hurt. But if you're about to fall, if you just go with it, it wasn't as you know, you can actually fall nicely, a little bit nicer.
You got it.
It really taught me about that whole, you know, it just reminded me of what you're talking about, that balancing and centering.
You got it. You got it. And for each of us, it feels a little different. And for each of us, we have to find our own little groove. And that's where the self-awareness comes in. That's why self-awareness is always your first step to anything, is where am I? How am I handling this? And what energies are still holding me down? And so when I do start to get this little bit of a push vibrationally from the seemingly bad, which is really for my greatest and highest good, how am I reacting? Am I resisting, or am I allowing? Because when I allow, that's when amazing things can happen.
Those are great words. Well, I know I've felt really inspired, and I can feel your energy, and I hope that Those of you in the audience too can feel that shift. I know you talked about sharing a gift with us today. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, I would love to. So it took stories. I love stories. I love words because they can really shift you vibrationally, subconsciously. So if you're in that place of stuckness, or you're in a place of just needing a little bit, a tiny little bit of a nudge, that's where I come along and I assist people. And so you're going to get a really fun e-parable that will give you that little bit of a nudge so that subconsciously you can begin to feel that vibrational, so that you can open yourself up to wonderful possibilities. And so it's a story about a man who is in a place of struggle. He's in a place of complete denial of life itself. He just doesn't even want to be where he is. And he's given the opportunity to shift his thinking, to shift his positioning. And as you're reading it, you're going to feel your opportunity to shift in your outlook and in your perception as well. And things just continue from there.
That sounds so intriguing. I love that. I'm going to have to check that out, because I actually thought, I studied English Lit, and I now see that my love for literature was really a way to try to shift energy.
You got it.
So and this is very overt, like use these parables to shift. There's so many different ways.
Yes, there are, and if you think about stories, they're one of the longest form of energy shifting that's taken place on this earth. There's so many stories and legends and fairy tales and, just everything that's been passed on generation after generation that's either kept us stuck in our old way of thinking or that's moving us forward. And so stories are extremely powerful. So just experience them for yourself. So thank you for the opportunity to share, Tera.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. I really have loved this time with you. You have such great energy.
Thank you. So do you.
Love, I can feel your love.
Thank you. It's been so fun. Namaste to you. Thanks.
Namaste. Thank you all for joining us at the Tera Awards Summit, and we hope you have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye.